Hi everyone, it's Alison Marlowe here, founder of Global Winning Women, and I'm delighted to be joined on this Global Winning Women live chat with our special guest, Katharine Dever. Kat is an intuitive business mentor. She works holistically with her clients across the globe to help them fulfill their soul's potential. And she's really renowned for her transformational work using a variety of methods. And many of these methods are not your typical business mentoring tools that you would probably expect to come across. But nevertheless, the results and the breakthroughs that Katharine's clients achieve are amazing, nothing short of remarkable. Now, I could absolutely go on singing Katharine's praises because I've also been incredibly fortunate to have been mentored and inspired by Katharine herself. So I think what we really need to do is just stop here and to welcome Katharine to the call. Hi, Katharine.
Hi, Alison. Such an honour to be here with you and all your winning women today.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you so much for finding the time because I know, like myself and all the other winning women, we are all incredibly busy. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, Kat. So I really want to start. Let's just dive straight in here, and I think, Kat, I would love it if you could please just share with us a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about the work that you really do and why you do it.
So, I always find it interesting when I'm asked this question because I don't relate to what I do as work. I kind of relate work to being something that almost like a suit you have to put on in the morning and you go and you do this job for somebody else. Or I guess service resonates.
Yes.
I think what I'm doing in my work, in my life, with my clients and in my own life is answering a calling that I've had inside me since I can remember.
Wow.
And as a very young child, I had a knowing and I had almost a sadness, really, a feeling, a very deep emotion inside me that the way things were in the world wasn't really the way it was. So one of the things I couldn't understand was why people weren't happy. And I couldn't understand why animals, were going extinct and children were not being fed. Poverty made no sense to me. And I just, as a young child, wanted to tell everybody that they were loved. It made no sense to me that so many people were so disconnected from their source and from that spring of goodness and wellness and happiness and joy and abundance. And so I guess really what became my purpose without me consciously, I was consciously trying to find my purpose, but I don't think I realized, I feel like it happened very organically over some time, many years, is that now I'm reconnecting people with their source. I'm reconnecting them with God, with Spirit, and as a result, all these wonderful things begin to be allowed to manifest in their lives. And I make that real in the world by discussing business and enterprise and sales and marketing and valuing yourself. But really what I'm doing is bringing people back into the heart of God and of Spirit and into a place where they know they're worthy and they know they're loved and they know that they are creating their own reality. And I help them from that knowing manifest using the tools that provide them with what they seek.
Wow. And I can honestly say that I've experienced that through working with you as well, particularly some of the, you talked about the word abundance there. I personally don't feel that I particularly felt particularly abundant before I met you. And, you know, that has just been a part of my transformation, and it's all been about expansion and allowing more into my life. And I think that through working with you, I've listened to lots of other women who feel exactly the same, and it's quite sad, don't you think, that there are so many people out there that are just leading such limiting lives?
Well, I feel like the message of our times, that the universe or God or Spirit wants us to know, for you and for me and for women, is that we are being called to step into our fullness and into the experience of fullness in every area of our lives. And that includes financial fullness and reaching a financial potential that is inherent, and a health potential, and a love potential, you know. And oftentimes the way we reach that potential is not by adding more, but by removing our own blocks and our own limits to that abundance, or to that love, or to that experience of joy or ecstasy, or you know, vibrant health. We self-sabotage because we feel inferior or unworthy or self-conscious, or, you know, doubtful about what we're able to receive and what we give ourselves permission to receive. So whilst I used to very much focus on how to in my work and teaching people the steps, I feel recently much more called to help people remove everything that is not that potential. So when Michelangelo, you know what, I could get these names wrong, but I think it was Michelangelo who sculpted David, and he had a block of clay, right? He didn't make David, he just removed all the clay that was not David, and David was left. And I feel like the universe, God, life wants to support us in removing everything that is not our version of David, everything that is not the highest potential of womankind, everything that's not the highest potential of Kat, the highest potential of Alison, is falling away, being burnt off, and it's painful at times, but it's necessary for our evolution, for our daughters and sons and their grandchildren, that we kind of just shed these layers of dull, lifeless, dense, senseless ignorance and shame and guilt and blame and oppression that we've carried with us for far too long. And as we reclaim our light and our worthiness and our power on the planet, I feel like that's, you know, I feel like when it happens in each of our lives, we're adding to the collective, we're adding the momentum for others to do the same. Absolutely. And that's the way I look at it. I don't worry about what else is particularly going on in the world. I try not to focus on that hardship, and I focus on doing what I can do, what is in my power today, to reclaim my own light and support those around me in reclaiming theirs and their power and their abundance and the rest of it, you know, the truth as I see it.
Wow, that is incredibly important, isn't it? You know, we hear a lot about women stepping into their power, and I think if we could just would it be okay if we just looked at that in business, in a business context? Because, you know, for even myself, I know that there have been many times where I've not been within my power, and I've just allowed things to kind of swamp me and overtake me, and I've had to then literally just take stock and ask myself, Alison, what's going on here? You know, you have this big mission and a big vision to be able to make a difference in the world and to serve, but I'm sometimes, and it's like when you step out of your comfort zone for the very first time, it feels so scary, but the more frequently you do it, then that comfort zone expands, doesn't it, with you? I was just likening the whole power thing to stepping outside the comfort zone. But, what would you say to people listening, Kat, about how important it is to find our power and to be able to stay in it?
Yes. Well, you're right in saying that it is outside of our comfort zone, because it is. Historically, there really has been a war on women. There really has been. And I think we don't want to make a fuss, and we don't want to make a scene, and we don't want to seem like we're being dramatic, so we tend to ignore that or deny that there's a problem. But there has been. And women have been silenced, and they've been tortured, and they've been burned, and they've been exiled, and they've been ejected from society for exhibiting their power. And so talk about out of your comfort zone, I mean more like a strange existential feeling of terror is what we come up against when we try and assert our power in our lives to begin with. And it's certainly awkward before it's elegant. When I was reclaiming my power, there were things that would just sort of feel like they were far too much for me. I didn't know how to handle it. But that's what fear is. I think fear is I won't know how to handle it, or some sense of I will be no more. I will be obliterated if I make a stand here. And speaking up and holding our own, holding our ground, is something that I think we're personally working on in our own lives, and we're collectively working on as a gender. And it takes practice, and it's okay to not be always graceful and not be an expert from the start, but it is important. And our businesses are wonderful because I'm so passionate about business and helping women in business and to follow their calling through an enterprise, because it is the best personal development class that we can possibly attend. It's suddenly we have to step up, and we have to show up in new ways, and we have to have uncomfortable conversations, whether that's about our money or our boundaries or, holding somebody to account. It's not comfortable always, but the more we do it, the more trained we get, and the more mastery we get around it. And the only way we get mastery, right, is doing our 10,000 hours, of practicing, stepping into our power and claiming our power and operating as if we were powerful, even in the times when we don't feel powerful. Yeah. I know that part of our lessons are feeling this kind of powerlessness and needing to come through the other side of that, knowing that, the universe states that you can't have one side of something without the other side. So our powerlessness exists as the shadow of our power, and we're needing to step into it and find ways that we can stand tall, and we can speak up, and we can trust ourselves and our knowing, and not shame ourselves and make ourselves wrong. And just as in terms of how one can do this, how any of us can really, the practical side of actually, okay, well, I get it, but like now I'm in a situation and I've let my power go, or I need to take my power back. What do I do? I would say, the first step is that you need to breathe, because when we're in fear, we stop breathing, we contract inside of our bodies. So it's very important that you put your shoulders back, take a deep breath, you hold your head high, and you can, even on this call in this moment, like to do that and change your physiognomy and see how that then impacts your mind and your way you stand and the way you hold yourself. So we have to breathe deeper, because then we have more access to what's available to us if we're breathing. We don't go into a small place inside of ourselves where we're contracted and scared. So we kind of have to override our primal conditioning to shrink and contract when we're afraid, because we are outside of our comfort zone for all the reasons that we know about in our in our history and the genocide that we've had and our collective unconscious. So we have to kind of override our unconscious conditioning and step out of it for a moment and be aligning ourselves with something much bigger. You know, so if I don't feel powerful in this moment, how can I align myself with something that I do believe in, like with my higher power or my higher self? You know, because when you're one with all of that and you don't separate from it, it gives you the potency to like trust and take steps and say things and be someone that you can't always do on your own when you feel like an isolated little clod of ailments. And you align yourself with the greater good, and you align yourself with your vision for the future. Because when you're operating from that place, miracles can happen and possibilities and opportunities just appear. You know, so rather than being stuck in your past, you have to take a big breath and like step out of yourself and align with your future self. And with all the power that's there for you, operate from that place.
Yeah, and I think for myself, one of the questions that I ask myself is, you know, when you're talking there about, you know, aligning with your future self, I say to myself, you know, who do I need to become? Which I guess is a very similar sort of thing, just using different words around it, really.
Yeah, and noticing that these lessons are coming to us, the universe is giving us opportunities. If we're in an uncomfortable situation, trusting that there's something in this for me, there's a reason I'm in this, and it's refining me, who I am and who I'm becoming and who I'm born to be, and I'm going through the fire to come out the other side transformed. You know, a diamond is created under intense pressure.
Yeah.
And whilst, you know, a lot of us have tried to create lives that avoid that kind of discomfort. You know, we've tried to create lives where we don't rock the boat, and where we're safe, and where we can switch the television on and eat a casserole, and that's our life, you know. But the truth is, we're unfulfilled from that. So when we open up and we call in, when we hear the call to adventure, it's a hero's journey, it's a heroine's journey. It's not for the faint-hearted. You have to be strong of heart and have courage and develop that muscle to be uncomfortable, to stand out, to speak your truth, and to face your fears, your greatest fears of being annihilated, of being, you know, exiled. Whatever your greatest fears are, they're going to come up on your business journey in different guises. And your job is just to keep focusing on where you're going and keep deepening your reservoirs of courage and faith to move through the uncomfortable and uncertain times and grow from them and prosper from them. Don't let yourself be defeated by them.
And that's wonderful, Kat. And I know that you know, you have been incredibly successful within your business, taking it from basically 0 to 6 figures within the first year. So, would you say that the challenges that you face? I'm making a massive assumption here, actually. Perhaps I shouldn't do that. But would you say that the challenges grow as you grow in your business? Or do they become less? Or I'm just thinking, you know, because...
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it depends. Okay, so the question is, do the challenges grow as you grow? Well, if I was having the challenges, it's kind of like you develop with them, don't you? I think probably looking back, it's always harder those first few stretches because you don't have any evidence. You don't have any references. Like, how the hell do I know that this is actually going to pan out? Maybe the first investments that you make in yourself, or the first time you sell a higher priced program. It definitely gets easier after that because you have some reference that actually that went really well, and I really get that transformation was equivalent to the value that the person invested in themselves at. And so you get these references which make it easier to trust yourself. So from that perspective, it gets easier. But I would say the challenges that you face, obviously, yes, in some ways they do grow. You know, one of the challenges I have these days is I have 2 kids, and that's, you know, and actually one of them is just coming in now. Yes, hi, darling. Hi, darling. I'm just on the phone.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh.
Yeah, go see Liz.
My goggles, please.
Yeah, you can have your goggles. There you go. Can you show them to Liz? Put them in your suitcase.
My goggles on.
He's got his goggles ready for America, and he likes to wear them all the day.
So these are the kind of challenges you have these days, Kat.
So the challenges these days are more like balance.
Balance,
hey, I want to get this well. I want to be the kind of mother that I feel I'm present and I'm available for them, but I'm also a woman in my own right, and I'm fulfilling what feels like my mission in the world, and I'm not covering myself with excuses as to why I can't do that. So I'm very much a believer in trusting how I feel.
Yeah.
And the challenges usually arise when I don't listen to myself and I don't trust myself. And you pretty much usually get a sense on things now a whole load quicker, and I trust myself a whole load more than I ever did in the beginning. So I would say, my life at this point really feels pretty graceful, pretty, there's effort, sure. Anyone who has kids knows that there's effort and who runs a business, but it doesn't feel like struggle. I still stretch myself, and in fact this trip to America feels like a real stretch, and it feels similar to some of those early quantum leaps.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but in terms of the challenges, I don't think you can have a business without challenges, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe I just feel more supported through my challenges now.
Yeah, and also I think there's something in here very much about not allowing those challenges to define us.
Yeah, like you kind of forget them, don't you? Once you've been through them, you take them for granted, the lessons that you learn, and it's kind of who you became through those challenges that stays with you, and you forget the actual situation.
Yeah, and I'm thinking for myself over the years now, some of the challenges that I've had to overcome and how different my challenges are. So thanks for bringing that to the table, really, because our challenges can be so diverse for each individual within their business, So as you were saying, your challenges now are very much about balance and the family, which obviously you wouldn't have had just a couple of years ago.
No.
Yeah, and for me, I'm moving past that stage now where my children are so much older, and I'm finding that my challenges are moving in a different direction. So, it's just really interesting that I think at the end of the day that we don't allow those challenges to define who we are and to stop us from moving forward. For example, now that I've got 2 children, I'm not able to run my business at the same level as I was 6 months ago or whatever it might be.
But when I got first pregnant, I contracted a lot. And I felt like, I can't do this then. I guess I better stop my business.
Gosh.
Unfortunately, I was working at the time with a mentor, which I'm a big believer in having someone in your corner to keep an eye and support you and that you can share things with. And she said, no, you're more powerful than ever. You're more intuitive. You've got more understanding. You've got more experience. In this place, people are more privileged to work with you whilst you're in this phase of your life. You don't need to see this as the end, because part of me at first just assumed that it would have to be, because I didn't really have any references of how to, ones that felt good to me or looked healthy to me, of how to work and be a mother. All the mothers that worked, it just seemed awful. It seemed stressful in England anyway, It felt like a real either or. You were either a home mum and you had all that kind of a life, or you went to work and you just got on with it and, set bottles up for your baby and handed them over to daycare or a nanny or someone. And this felt like a really not a great place. I just didn't want that choice.
So how did you turn that around?
Yeah. Well, just by throwing out the rule book and throwing out the way everyone else does it, and my own thoughts and stories about it, and literally taking a pen and paper and writing a new story down for myself. And I'm a big believer in this for anyone who's stuck. You know, what are you stuck? What's the story that you're telling yourself? So this is the story I'm telling myself about motherhood. This is the story I'm telling myself about running a business. This is the story I'm telling myself about money. And you write down the story that you've been in, the movie that you've been living. And you get a new sheet of paper and you write, this is my new story. And you literally rewrite the movie. So I wrote down what was I really feeling about motherhood? What was my embedded script that I had in my system? And just like a computer, like, okay, this is a virus. This program's not running how we want this operation to work. So we need to upload some new software, you know, and get this virus out. So I literally deleted it, like wrote the story out. Okay, motherhood means, you know, really having to choose between going to work and feeling always torn, or being at home and being bored, or, you know, like for me, this is just my version, right? Some mothers, I think it's absolutely their purpose to be a full-time mum, and it's a very big job and, you know, a wonderful job. But I had to write my own stories, and my own stories were things like it was trapping and difficult, and, you know, all these things like slavery. The way my story was like slavery, and then you have to destroy that program. So I ripped that up, or I think I maybe even burnt that piece of paper on the fire. And then I wrote my new story. So that motherhood is the greatest freedom. It's the greatest gift. It's the greatest role. And I'm in a new paradigm, and the feminine on the planet, I'll be taught and I'll be shown and I'll be guided as to how to integrate. And it's part of my life purpose to integrate these roles, and I'll share it with others.
Wow.
And that became my new story.
That's an incredibly powerful tool. Yeah. And I know I've heard you talk about that before, and I think we've even done an exercise like that as well. So, yeah.
It's so simple, but it's so powerful.
And words are incredibly powerful, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And stories, you know, mythology, we're also guided really by stories that we've heard and tell ourselves. Well,
that's one of the reasons that I love having these chats, Kat, because, you know, we all have stories to share, whether they're, you know, personal stories about our own life experiences, or whether they're, you know, the stories that we've been telling ourselves, or whatever it might be. You know, I think when we come together and we share these stories, we can really have a great impact on each other collectively, and to really be able to encourage each other and inspire each other to, you know, sometimes shift perspective, the way we think about things. And I do know that, you know, some of the feedback has been, you know, it was so great to hear somebody's perspective on X, Y, and Z. So, I'm a great believer in women coming together and sharing.
Yeah.
You know. And also what I love about what you just said was the fact that just because we're telling ourselves a particular story, it doesn't mean to say that's how the story's going to end.
Yeah.
So that was beautiful exercise. Thank you so much for sharing that. I really do appreciate that, and would love to encourage anybody who's listening in to, you know, have a go, but it's not about having a go. It's about doing it. It's about actually doing that exercise and finding out for yourself, discover for yourself the benefits that can have. Can I just ask a little question?
Sure.
Around that exercise, if that's okay. For yourself, when you do an exercise like that, do you literally just take on that new story immediately, or does it take a little while to, you know, do you find yourself sometimes go back to the old story a little bit at times?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And you just have to have awareness. And I feel like from writing it, there's an alchemy that happens. And from burning it or throwing it in the bin and being like, I'm done with that story, and you can say it out loud, right? I'm thank you, I'm done with that story. I'm going to take the lessons and leave the rest. I'm going to take the gifts and that's it. I'm done. And you you make a decision. You decide for yourself, and of course, like, things it will be a transformational time. Your stuff will come up, things in your subconscious will want to show you, see, like, it doesn't work like that. But if you stay focused on what you desire, then, I think you'll start finding evidence that support your new story. But there is a way, and that, you have to keep believing that. And, literally don't make it complicated. Don't overthink it. Don't try too hard. Just write it and trust that it's done now. That like, you don't need to work really hard at it. It doesn't require you to be perfect. It doesn't require you to, do anything else. That's enough. That it's enough. Walt Disney said, I dream. I test my dreams against my beliefs. I dare to take risks, and I execute my vision to make those dreams come true. So what's really important in that is, like, you dream your dream. You dream your dream about how you want it to be, and then your dreams get tested against your beliefs. And that's the critical point. You don't then change your dream. You change your beliefs. And then he says, I dare to take risks, because it feels scary because it's not how you've been living. And I execute my vision to make those dreams come true. Then you execute. Then you take aligned actions for your dream to come true, not for your old story to come true. There's tons of things we could do, right, to stay slave girls, There's a way we can execute to make that the reality. We could charge too little for our work. We could, decide that there's no one who can help us. We could, sabotage new opportunities or just not see them. But that's not executing our dreams. That's executing on our old story. Yes. That we're trapped and we're slaves and we haven't got what we need. There isn't enough. And we need to execute on our new story. I'm going to be, I remember going to an event once and saying to the woman who ran it, I'm going to be your best success story. And I was. I did. I became her biggest success story. That was Beth Davis back in 2009.
Wow.
I just had so much certainty leaving that event, and I didn't have a penny in my pocket. I'd sold my car to go to that event. I had nothing. But I could see it. I could see what I wanted, and I was ready to change my story, my money story at that time.
My goodness me, and you certainly have. And here you are today, doing all this amazing transformational work across the globe. And, taking groups of women to Ecuador as well, including myself.
Oh, yeah.
Which, my goodness me, who would believe that that could be part of a business?
That's right.
Isn't that just so amazing? We are just such amazing creators.
We are so blessed, and one of the things that I really admire about Winning Women and about you, Alison, is just how pioneering you are, and the level of permission for everyone to be in community with each other, but very much be their own individual self, and seeing the beauty of each person shining out. It's just such an incredible space that you're holding and a vision that you have. For all these women to be dreaming their own dreams and having them come true, and to have a resource like this is just a huge service you're providing for women. I think it's wonderful. It's such an honor to have worked with you and to be sharing with you today, and just to really remind you, I'm really bowing at your and always in awe of what you're creating and have created for this tribe of women. It's profound.
Thank you very much, Kat. I really appreciate that, and I really feel that in my heart as well. So, wow. I could chat with you all day, and It's not possible, unfortunately. Goodness me, I've just had a very quick look at the clock, and I thought we'd probably have about another 15 minutes to go, and we don't. Gosh, what's the saying? Time flies when you're enjoying yourself. So we really sort of crushed time there. Kat, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. But before you do go, if there's anybody here that would like to connect with you further, where would you like us to direct them? What's the best way of connecting with you?
Yeah, well, you can come and find me at my website, www.katharinedever.com. It's not the most gorgeous-looking website at the moment. We got it on the to-do list this year. We're having a bit of a revamp, but come and see us anyway. And then Facebook is always great. Come and say hi on Facebook. That would probably be the best way to say hello at the moment, really, and see what I'm up to. We've got an event happening in June for anyone who is really ready to take their business to the next level. That'll be here in Bath on the solstice on June the 20th and 21st of June. Sorry, 21st and 22nd. It's a weekend.
Okay.
And and that's me, really. Come over, and you can sign up to my newsletter at my website and stay posted with all the photos from bits and bobs and everything else going on. So, yeah.
And your two beautiful boys.
My two boys and latest tips and guidance.
Lovely. Kat, thank you so much for joining me. I really, really do appreciate your time. I've had a whale of a time talking about some of the things. I always feel that when we talk that you're talking to me directly as well. And I might have a couple of stories to go and rewrite.
As well. We all do. There's
exactly.
areas we can all up-level and upgrade our lives.
Definitely. So I think, everything that we've shared on this call is going to be really taken and accepted, and I think there's going to be a lot of people going out there and buying new notepads.
Yes.
So thank you so much. It's been lovely to chat with you.
Thanks, Alison. Much love.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye for now. Bye.